Well, we have moved into the FM 101.9 Music Hall, and across from me, they are self-described musicologists. Although when you're talking about Neil and Tim Finn, the Finn brothers, the term serious musician seems like an oxymoron. Because you can't put serious in any description of you guys, I don't think.
Moron's quite appropriate.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what that means quite, but
I
know what oxymoron means.
Well, I don't, and Tim tried to explain it to me the other day. But
It's like military intelligence or jumbo shrimp, two words that don't quite
I think
go
we're
together.
quite serious about our songwriting and stuff.
And I didn't mean to imply that
But
you weren't.
I'm not being sensitive. I'm just saying because on stage sometimes we undercut that with a lot of just spontaneity and fun, really. And I think the balance is, if you can get it right, which we don't always do, but when you can, it's a good feeling.
Well, I think you do, because entertaining is probably the best word to describe your shows. The music is phenomenal, that goes without saying, but you guys also have this chemistry on stage that just... People described your shows as making their faces hurt because they were smiling so much.
well, that's good. Yeah, but that's mostly because of, that's me really.
That was Neil.
Yeah.
Collectively and individually, Tim and Neil are responsible for Split Ends, Crowded House, Alt, a few Tim Finn albums, the new one, Finn Brothers, and I hope you notice I'm really trying to be diplomatic here and allowing each of you to go first, like Neil and Tim and Neil. And
you're throwing it around.
We're not that diplomatic about it, really. It's a bit of a fight.
I've noticed.
But actually, I should say, Tim, the review said that you were the funniest.
Did it?
Yeah, it did actually say that.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. I never read the reviews, so
Yeah, I just pass them on every
now and again I hear there's been a good one and no one tells me if they're bad, so it's kind of good.
Well, Tuesday night I sat right next to Steve Hockman, the reviewer for the LA Times, and he was enjoying it every bit as much as I, which is saying a lot.
That's
good.
You've just wrapped up, as we're talking about, an abbreviated 7-city tour with 2 phenomenal nights at the John Anson Ford Theater. On behalf of everyone else who was there, thank you.
Thank you.
Bow in your general direction.
Well, we were pretty stoked because they were good shows, and especially the last night. Well, I mean, they were both excellent, really, but he said humbly, but the last night had a particular magic to it, and you don't always get that on a tour.
I felt like I witnessed a 4-hour show because I was there for both nights, and they were 2 distinctly different shows.
Yeah, well, in between, we do a lot of the same songs, obviously, every night. There's certain songs we're attached to and we should be doing every night. But within that and beyond that, we like to stretch it as much as possible, which includes Tim wandering. Now that, of course, he's wireless remoted, he's cable-less, he can wander wherever he wants, and... John Anson Ford offers a great deal of, wildlife and bushwalks, and Tim took advantage of them all.
That's right. I even discovered my nephew, Elroy, hiding behind a hedge. He'd been up there since 2 o'clock in the afternoon, apparently.
Yeah, somebody had upped him, dared him to
But it's
get
a
involved.
great venue, that's the
brilliant,
thing.
yeah.
The amphitheatre feeling, I mean, it's very ancient, have people sort of spread out on a hill like that in front of you. There's something very, for an entertainer, it's I don't know, it's the best feeling in the world.
Well, it was a wonderful place to watch and listen to you from. How about kicking it off with a song here?
Sure.
The Finn Brothers are with us in the FM 101.9 Music Hall. What are you going to do?
You can start with Angel's Heap.
Yeah, Angel's Heap.
Yeah.
3, 4...
News travels fast. There's an old wreck in the underpass. Wine in a glass and a well-traveled bed. Down the length and breadth of the motorway, down the information highway, I took a ride in an angel's heat. Yeah, I took a ride, and she took me away to where the hills are steep. Yeah, I took a ride. In the still mind of a child, there's a live bird on his shoulder. swallow a lie, like she's drinking a flagon of beer. I'll never be the same again. Let the black wheels fly over. Oh, I took a ride in an angel's heat, and she took me away to where the air was sweet, and she made me come alive in a red vinyl seat. Yeah, I took a ride. Let the black wheels fly over. I took a ride in an angel's heat, and she took me away to where the hills are steep, and she made me come alive in a red vinyl seat. Yeah, I took a ride.
The Finn Brothers on FM 101.9. Angel's Heap, a song found on the brand new Finn Brothers album, a song you wrote about a babysitter.
Well, yeah, that's my current story.
It's a mythical babysitter.
Ah.
Some wild woman who takes you on a ride
Uh-huh.
in a rusty pickup,
You wish.
and you lose your innocence forever. The muse.
So the childhood stories you were presenting to us weren't necessarily true.
Nothing is necessarily true.
Ah.
That's all true, and for us,
Uh-huh.
and at the John Ensign Ford, it was true.
Even we can't tell anymore. That's the simple answer.
Because we can't remember.
Well, do you remember what it was like growing up in your house? The one thing you displayed on stage and seeing you perform together over 2 nights made it really evident in how well you work off each other. It's almost like a telepathic thing because while you did do a few of the songs, a few of the same songs, you did them quite differently. Where do you
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
go off? One of you like challenges the other, goes off in an improvisational way, and the other one follows?
Yeah, it's just like that, really. I mean, it's complete support, so it's egoless to quite a large extent.
It's kind of the way we write it. We've written as well, so we've gotten to a pattern through having had a couple of big writing sessions of just kind of surfing the ether. And when we do it together, we're sort of responding to certain melodies or rhythms that come out, which both of us have deeply ingrained in us because we grew up with the same music. So there's a lot of common ground there. As much as we do different things as well, but it's a very comforting thought, and we just need to engage each other and look at each other in the eye, and we can go anywhere we like.
That was amazingly evident. It was John Anson Ford was the perfect venue for it because we were close enough. It was intimate enough that I could watch you, and one of you would go off and do something, and sometimes there was like on the other one's face either a big smile or occasionally a grimace, and it was just like, okay, here we go, and you'd go off into these wonderful different places.
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling. I mean, I like it too.
Yeah, well, it puts you in the moment, and any time you can break through the boundaries of rehearsal into spontaneity is good for any performance. I think there's far too many. I'm not sitting here criticising anybody else particularly, but there's a lot of shows you go to see that seem like they're scripted.
Yes,
from beginning to end, and I just sort of think you might as well stay home and watch television.
I agree, or they might as well be lip syncing.
Yeah, and I also can't understand how people keeps it interesting for you as a performer for the accidents are really what makes the night memorable. It's how you remember a night. Somebody says, I was there the night that, Jock from Glasgow got up and stripped to Four Seasons in one day, and you remember that really well. It was particularly memorable, actually.
It's a great
that
big
actually
ass.
happened. Great big ass.
Also, the way you jump around from instrument to instrument. On Wednesday night, there was a problem with Kiss the Road of Rarotonga, where your guitar
Wouldn't
wasn't
work.
working.
She worked pretty good on pianos. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, we can be very flexible because there's only two of us. You know.
Don't have to boot the keyboard player off to get to play the piano. This is a great luxury for us to be able to just play all the instruments, you know.
That's how we made the record too. We just had all these instruments lying around, you know. We walk around the studio and go, oh, we'll try that. It was very free like that.
Was it always part of the game plan to do a Finn Brothers record?
Never part of a plan as such. I mean, I think we realised around the time we wrote those songs for Woodface that we could do it. But we'd been together for years before that and not really written much, so it's kind of a surprise. And then it was just a matter of saying, well, let's do it, you know. And I guess we'll do it again. And it's just going to be a matter of when the time comes up again, you know. We don't have a plan as such, but we have a desire. It's there.
Kind of spontaneous all the way around.
Well, yeah, and keep it pleasurable too, not overwork it. I mean, we know that we're paying a price by not touring much here. If we came here and toured for 6 months, we could probably sell some records. But, you know, and without that, hopefully we can still do that. But the chances are going to be, you know, it's tough. You got to get out there and go round and round and round and round. And we just, I don't know why. It's not because we're lazy. But we just don't want to lose the spark of it, you know.
You said a word, Tim, the other night at the show, genetic, and it's this talent has got to be in some sense. But was music a big part of your household growing up? How did you?
We had a lot of music in the house. Mum's Irish, and she's, you know, steeped in it really. And Dad's huge on the swing band stuff. So there was probably a disproportionate amount of music compared to our peer group. And we fell in love with it at a very early age and found we could sing in harmony. There was a lot of live singing. When our parents had parties, everybody would take a turn to sing a song. Peggy Dawson would sing Stormy Weather. George Goddard would sing Shake Hands with a Millionaire. And the Durning brothers would sing that little lamb song about we are poor little lambs who have gone astray. Sure. And we'd listen to all this stuff and just think, oh, it's a natural thing to sing together, you know.
Wow.
I was lucky.
Would you sing another one together for us?
Sure.
Yeah.
Which one were we going to do? Did we make any arrangements?
We could go back to the past a little bit, maybe. Yeah. Try to split ends, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
6 months in a leaky boat.
Okay.
Give it a bash.
Put it in its morning key.
Yeah, it's normally in D. We're going to do it in A, musicologists.
Okay.
When I was a young boy, I wanted to sail around the world. That's a life for me. Living on the sea, the spirit of a sailor, the circumnavigates the globe, and the lust of a pioneer will acknowledge no frontier. I remember you by thunderclap in the sky, lightning flash, timbers flare round the horn. If you dare, I just spent 6 months in a leaky boat, lucky just to keep afloat. El terror, rugged individual, glisten like a pearl, the bottom of the world. The tyranny of distance didn't stop the cavalier, so why should it stop me? I'll conquer and stay free. Ah, come on, all you lads, let's forget and forgive. There's a world to explore, tales to tell. Back on shore, I just spent 6 months in a leaky boat. 6 months in a leaky boat. Gee, I've forgotten how to whistle, folks.
just gonna have to bear with me here.
Shipwreck love can be cruel. Don't be fooled by her kind. There's a wind in my sails, will protect and prevail. I just spent 6 months in a leaky boat. Nothing to a leaky boat.
Sorry about the whistling.
It's the bad key.
It was a shocker. I mean,
Well, it's a bad key for whistling, Tim. That's all right. Don't knock yourself out, man.
I went way out then, didn't I?
Don't whip yourself.
Oh, I'm enjoying it.
That's good.
The Finn brothers with us in the Music Hall at FM 101.9, going way back to the Split Ends days. Now, that was Tim's band, and Neil, you were just a young child at the time, and then after a couple of records, you joined the band as still a teenager.
Well, I was 14 when the band really started. Although
Wow.
no one heard the band really over here till probably 77. Or no,
76 we actually came through.
Yeah,
But it was a very short little tour.
and by then I was almost ready to join the band. So 17 or 18. Tim plucked me out of being hospital orderly.
Yeah, he was
Thank you
18.
for that.
18 and I was hospital orderly, and he took me over to London. I couldn't play electric guitar at all. It was a huge leap of faith on his part. In fact, I think the rhythm section, who were both English and they had no knowledge of, or no assurance of my potential, were conspiring to sack me. They realised they didn't have the numbers. Sort of a bit like a political kind of thing.
I think
you know?
the thing that swung it for us was the writing. We knew Neil could write, so, and also I was kind of into having him in there because he knew the mythology. He's been around it. I mean, when he was 13, he used to watch us rehearsing, so he was kind of just aware of the whole atmosphere of the band. It was been very hard to introduce somebody to that cold, I think. But yeah.
Now, Tim, you seem to constantly challenge Neil on the writing thing because you were throwing out like song titles and saying, "Okay, write the song."
Yeah, well, that
All
was the
through the
gag
shows.
that night. Yeah, there was a running gag. It was kind of good. But we don't do that all the time.
No, that
No.
was a special thing for
was
us.
very
Well,
special, yeah.
He was
Well, actually-
doing it. You were doing it Tuesday night, and then
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't think any of them are going to make the next record, but
there were lovely interludes.
there was a
though.
couple of
Yeah.
little moments. What Tim does do when we're writing together, though, is we'll talk. He'll bring up something that he's read or a title or something, and that's usually a very good starting point for a song. So what we did on stage was kind of like the very first attempts
True.
that we would do if we're at the beach. But because there's only two of us and we don't have to feel embarrassed, we can get to the next level.
Get to the verse and chorus.
Yeah.
I have to mention tonight at 7:30, you guys are going to be doing an in-store performance and appearance at the Virgin Megastore on Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
It's at Sunset and Crescent Heights, Laurel Canyon right there. So for those who missed the shows or just need more, like the way I've been, tonight, the Virgin Megastore at 7:30. Neil and Tim Finn, or Tim and Neil Finn, are with us. Now, are you aware what Sunday is? The anniversary of?
Sunday. What's the date?
It is July 21st, 1996.
What?
It's the 10th anniversary of the release of the first Crowded House album.
Is it?
Yeah.
July 1990. Oh, yeah, well, that'd
Well,
be
over
right,
here
yeah.
anyway.
No, that'd be right. Yeah, well, we actually almost lasted 10 years to the day then, didn't we, really? To
Now,
release,
Pretty
anyway.
good, yeah.
it was just a few weeks ago that we got the final word that
Yeah.
Crowded House was over. Was that really a hard decision to make, or was it just time?
It took a long time to get around to making the decision, but it actually wasn't in the end a hard decision to make at all because I knew I was ready for a change. So, having made it, I'm actually quite relieved and exhilarated. Not that I have any absence of affection for Crowded House. It was a great, really good 10 years, 4 good records, and they're good friends, but definitely time to move on. So I feel good.
Well, it was during the last tour that Paul Hester decided to leave. And
Yeah.
could it have been Crowded House without Paul?
Well, yeah, we could have made a record easily enough without Paul, and it would have sounded like Crowded House still. And but that was part of the thing. I didn't want to. I don't want to make another record that sounds like Crowded House. I want to find some new angle on things.
There is one more. You've got the new Finn Brothers album out, but there's also a greatest hits collection coming out with a few new songs called Recurring Dream.
Yeah, that's right. That was kind of part of our agreement with Capitol because we've now parted ways from Capitol, and part of the agreement to let us do that was to put a best of out. As it turns out, it's probably quite a good little signpost at the end of things. Initially, I thought it was a little early for a best of, given we only did 4 albums, but well, hey, what the hell? It's quite a good compilation. We put a bit of work into it, and we did 3 new tracks. And there's a whole, well, in America at the moment, we're still trying to get them to release what we've done in England and the rest of the world as a CD of compiled live tracks with the best of, to try and make it a more comprehensive package, because we definitely cut our teeth on stage. So, but yeah, enough of that. There were Finn Brothers today.
Finn Brothers, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I went out when we first heard about the Finn Brothers. It wasn't available over here for a while. In fact, my copies, I bought the import because I heard it was here and you couldn't get it. And big thank yous to Discovery Records for bringing it up and releasing it over here.
Well, we had to wait a long time, unfortunately, because we were doing this thing with Capitol. So I noticed that on your cover, you've got a round import sticker in the middle, which basically gives the illusion of 2 sperm heading for an import sticker, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I hadn't quite figured that, but yes, it does. There was one, which is quite possibly my favorite Crowded House record while we're on the subject, Woodface, which is the one that Tim is on.
Yes, that's right.
So Tim, what prompted you to join Crowded House for this record?
It's sort of like, it seemed like that was the only way around it, because we'd recorded, Neil was halfway through a Crowded House record, then he stopped to do an agreed upon record that we decided to do. We started recording tracks for that, and we did like Weather With You, There Goes God, and a few others, All I Ask, and most of them really. And it went really well, and then he had to kind of go back to Crowded House, and it was pretty tormenting and weird. It was like, it didn't really make sense somehow. So we just combined the whole thing, and at that stage it was great, and we did some really good shows. I mean, I can remember some pretty excellent nights, but as it went on, the months went by, it just started to unravel a bit on stage. I wasn't being fully stretched, I guess. I mean, it was hard for Neil because he had to, they needed a keyboard player, and so that became me for a while, and I'm not really au fait with all the technology, so it was a bit awkward, and just generally I wasn't being stretched, and I was a bit frustrated, and I think they knew that, and it was very amicable at the end. When we finally said, let's just forget about this, it didn't work. The record worked, and we've had some fun, but let's get on with things.
I saw that tour both with you and without you. But the Finn Brothers are here. The shows at the John Anson Ford Theatre are wonderful. It's great. The chemistry between the two of you on stage was just magnificent. And in here in the music hall, how about another one?
Sure. Did we decide what we were going to do?
Not really. We could do you want something new? Suffer Never, maybe?
Yeah, okay.
Quick tuning job.
Sorry. It's live radio, folks.
Sounds alright?
No, not really.
Alright.
It's alright. I'll be ready now. Okay, let's just do it anyway.
Go back to the whistling thing.
Yeah, we could go back to whistling. It's early for tuning. My ears aren't ready.
Is she falling from the sky? So heavy of heart, and the sigh was on her tongue, the grief was in her arms. She would suffer never, I mean her no harm. She'll come slowly rising on the air, left eye weightless on the air, on the air. And the silence was enough, shed my guilt. She will always know my wishes, I remember how it felt. Kisses slowly rising on the air. Left eye weightless on the air, on the air. She will suffer never. I mean her no harm. In my home, in my head, in my home, say in my head, in my home, save my head, in my home, save my head, in my home, save my head. She will suffer never. She will suffer never. She will suffer never.
Finn Brothers in the Music Hall at FM 101.9. Another track from the brand new album, The Finn Brothers. The import was just called Finn, but here it's Finn Brothers.
There's something special for America.
All right. We've got time if I can coax one more out of you.
Yeah. Just let me just have a bit of a talk while I tune, Tim, just so I don't,
All right.
we don't avoid that kind of.
We could talk about my fabulous solo career.
Yes, we can. Quite a few albums from Tim Finn, and then the alt thing. What happened? What you and Andy White
Yeah.
and Liam
O'Moynley.
You know, I never know how to say his name, so I always say Liam from Hot House Flowers.
Yeah. It's,
You've worked together a lot. Huh?
well, yeah, we wrote Many's the Time, which was actually on my last record, and that was the first thing we did, and then we did the alt thing. And yeah, it's a good celebration of friendship, that band. Really. It's we'll probably do that again one day, you know.
Well, it seemed like a lot of fun. I mentioned I was at the show at the House of Blues, and
Yeah.
you just seemed like three guys having a blast on stage and just playing music and
Yeah.
having fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what it's about, isn't it?
Well, if you can get it like that, yeah. I mean, you know, some people, I guess, like a tighter show, but when we do alt, we just do whatever. We never rehearse.
All right. Well, Tim and Neil Finn are with us in the music hall. We, like I said, time for one more.
Yeah, we can do one more. We can do Weather with You, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
give
would
that
be
a bash.
awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry I haven't done your request, Kim. But we might do a slip-in chorus as we're fading into the news or something.
Kim's here with us today, all the way from Oklahoma.
You know, she sent me numerous emails over the last couple of weeks begging, could she please come in here? And we, you know, don't usually do that. But I told her, you know, if she wants to hang down in the parking lot, you never know
Yeah.
what you can accomplish. So
You did well.
we're at FM
And
101.9, the
Alex.
music hall.
Here we are.
Walking round the room singing stormy weather at 57 Mount Pleasant Street. Well, it's the same room, but everything's different. You can fight the sleep, but not the dream. Things ain't cooking in my kitchen. Strange affliction wash over me. Julius Caesar and the Roman Empire couldn't conquer the blue sky. Oh, there's a small boat made of China. It's going nowhere on the mantelpiece. Well, do I lie like a lounging lizard, or do I sing like a bird released? Everywhere you go, always take
Thank you so much. Wow.
That's all right.
Woo!
Thank
The
you.
Finn Brothers
It was rocking.
at FM 101.9. Awesome. Please don't stay away so long this time. Come back and see us soon.
We will. We will. It'll be our pleasure, and I'm sorry about the whistling.
The whistling was just wonderful.
I was quite into the
Wonderful.
whistling, actually. I quite liked it.
Good.
Tonight, 7:30ish, the Virgin Megastore on Sunset in West Hollywood.
yeah.
The album's called The Finn Brothers. You guys are great. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.